Welcome back to UK Flix, where real stories unfold like unforgettable dramas. Tonight, we bring you a tale that is both heartbreaking and shocking. One that pulls back the curtain on the private life of the little couple stars Arnold and Bill Klein's daughter, Zoey Klein. To the world, Zoey is the bright, cheerful girl who grew up under the spotlight of her parents' fame. But behind the smiles and the cameras, she carried a secret, one that would change everything. Without informing her family, Zoey Klein was on her way to a 5-star hotel with her secret boyfriend Zach for a private date. On the way, their car met with an accident, and Zoey Klein was seriously injured. Zoey Klein has been admitted to the hospital and is receiving medical care. She is fighting death. What began as a secret romance quickly spiraled into a nightmare, one that shook her family, her fans, and the world around her. This is not just a story of love and secrecy. It is a story of survival, of resilience, and of the fragile line between life and death. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear will leave you questioning trust, fate, and the choices that define us. Let's start from the beginning. Zoey Klein had always been the bright spark in her family. To the world, she was the beloved daughter of Arnold and Bill Klein, stars of the little couple. But behind the cameras, behind the smiles, Zoey carried a secret, one she hadn't shared with anyone in her family. Her heart belonged to Zach, a boy she had met months earlier. Their connection was instant, electric, and undeniable. Yet Zoey knew her parents would never approve. Zach wasn't from her world of fame and spotlight. He was ordinary, raw, and unpredictable. That was exactly what drew her closer. On that fateful evening, Zoey made a decision that would change her life forever. Without informing her family, she planned a private date with Zach at a luxurious 5-star hotel. It wasn't just about romance. It was about freedom, about carving out a space where she could be herself, away from the expectations of being and Bill's daughter. The plan was simple. Zach would pick her up, they'd drive to the hotel, and spend the evening together. But the weight of secrecy pressed heavily on Zoey's heart. She knew she was risking everything: her parents' trust, her family's reputation, and her own safety. Still, the thrill of forbidden love was stronger than fear. As she slipped out quietly, her phone buzzed with messages from her mother, asking where she was. Zoey ignored them, convincing herself she'd explain later. She believed she had time. She believed nothing could go wrong. In the car, Zach smiled at her, his hand brushing against hers. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Zoey nodded, her eyes shining with excitement. For a moment, it felt perfect. Two young souls chasing love against the odds. But destiny had other plans. The night that began with secrecy and passion was about to spiral into chaos. The road ahead was dark, and neither Zoey nor Zach could see the storm waiting just around the corner. This was the beginning of a story that would shake her family, her fans, and her future. A secret plan that would soon turn into a fight for survival. The city lights flickered in the distance as Zach's car rolled smoothly onto the highway. For Zoey Klein, every passing streetlight felt like a countdown, each glow pulling her closer to the secret world she had built with Zach. The thrill of sneaking away, of living a life her parents didn't know about, made her pulse race. Inside the car, the atmosphere was charged. Zach tried to lighten the mood, cracking small jokes. But Zoey's mind was restless. She kept glancing at her phone, ignoring the notifications piling up from her mother. Each vibration was a reminder of the truth she was hiding. She silenced the device, convincing herself that tonight was hers alone. The road stretched ahead, dark and endless. Zach's hand rested casually on the steering wheel, but his eyes occasionally darted towards Zoey. He could sense her unease. "Relax," he whispered. "We're just going to have a good time. No one has to know." His words were meant to comfort, but they only deepened the weight in Zoey's chest. She thought about her parents, Arnold and Bill Klein, who had always been protective, guiding her through life with love and caution. They had built a world where Zoey was safe, cherished, and shielded. Yet here she was, breaking their trust, chasing a love that lived in shadows. The car sped past neighborhoods, restaurants, and glowing billboards. Zoey imagined the hotel waiting for them, chandeliers, velvet chairs, and the quiet luxury of a place where she could pretend to be someone else. For a moment, she smiled, picturing herself walking hand in hand with Zach through the grand lobby. But beneath the excitement, a storm brewed. The night air grew heavier, the silence between them louder. Zach turned up the radio, but the music couldn't drown out the tension. Zoey leaned back, staring at the stars through the window, wondering if fate was watching. Every choice has consequences, and every secret carries risk. As the car pushed forward, destiny was already writing the next chapter. Neither Zoey nor Zach could see the danger waiting just beyond the curve of the road. This wasn't just a drive to a hotel. It was a drive into the unknown, a journey that would test love, loyalty, and survival. The headlights cut through the darkness, but the path ahead was far more treacherous than either of them could imagine. The night was quiet, the kind of silence that makes every sound sharper. Zach's car sped along the highway, headlights slicing through the darkness. Zoey Klein leaned against the window, her thoughts drifting between excitement and guilt. She imagined the hotel, the laughter, the whispered promises, but fate was already waiting at the next bend. The road ahead narrowed, a curve sharper than Zach anticipated. He adjusted the wheel, but his attention flickered. Zoey's smile, the music humming low, the thrill of secrecy. In that split second, destiny struck. A blinding flash of headlights appeared from the opposite lane. Another car, swerving, desperate to avoid collision. Zach panicked, jerking the wheel too hard. Tires screeched, rubber burned against asphalt, and the car spun violently. Zoey's scream pierced the night as metal clashed with metal. The impact was deafening. Glass shattered, steel crumpled, and the world turned upside down. When the car finally stopped, silence returned, but it was a silence filled with horror. Smoke rose from the hood, the acrid smell of gasoline filling the air. Zach groaned, his forehead bleeding, but conscious. He turned to Zoey, and his heart froze. Zoey was slumped against the seat, her body limp, her face pale. Blood trickled down her temple, her breathing shallow, uneven. Zach's hands trembled as he reached for her. "Zoey, stay with me," he cried, his voice breaking, but her eyes fluttered weakly, struggling to stay open. The world around them blurred. Passing cars slowed, horns blared, and strangers rushed to help. Someone dialed emergency services, shouting into the phone. Another tried to pry open the mangled door. Zach's voice cracked as he begged, "Please, she needs help. She's not waking up." Minutes felt like hours. The flashing red and blue lights of an ambulance finally pierced the darkness. Paramedics rushed in, their voices firm, their movements swift. They strapped Zoey onto a stretcher, oxygen mask pressed against her face. Her pulse was faint, her body fighting to hold on. Zach stood frozen, guilt consuming him. This wasn't supposed to happen. Tonight was meant to be theirs. A secret date, a stolen moment of love. Instead, it had become a nightmare. As the ambulance doors slammed shut, Zoey Klein's fight for life had begun. The crash wasn't just an accident. It was the turning point of a story that would shake her family, her fans, and her future forever. The ambulance tore through the night, sirens wailing like a desperate cry for help. Inside, Zoey Klein lay motionless, her body strapped to the stretcher, oxygen mask pressed against her face. Her pulse was faint, her breathing shallow. Every second mattered. Paramedics worked frantically, checking vitals, inserting IV lines, and shouting numbers that painted a grim picture. Blood pressure dropping, heart rate unstable. "We need to move fast." Their voices were sharp, urgent, cutting through the chaos. Zach sat in the corner, his clothes stained with blood, his hands trembling. He couldn't take his eyes off Zoey. The girl he loved was slipping away, and he was powerless to stop it. The hospital entrance blazed with fluorescent lights as the ambulance screeched to a halt. Doors flew open, and Zoey was rushed inside. Doctors and nurses swarmed around her, their faces tense, their movements precise. The emergency room became a battlefield, every action aimed at pulling her back from the edge. Zach stumbled after them, his voice cracking. "Please save her. She's Jen Arnold and Bill Klein's daughter. She can't die." But the staff barely heard him. Their focus was on Zoey, on the fragile thread of life they were trying to preserve. Machines beeped, monitors flashed, and the air was thick with urgency. A doctor barked orders. "Prepare for CT scan. Possible internal bleeding. Get surgical team on standby." Nurses moved swiftly, adjusting tubes, stabilizing her fragile body. For Zoey, the world was fading. She drifted in and out of consciousness, flashes of light and sound blurring together. Somewhere deep inside, she fought, her spirit clinging to life, refusing to let go. Meanwhile, Zach sat in the waiting area, his head buried in his hands. The weight of guilt crushed him. This was supposed to be a secret date, a night of love and freedom. Instead, it had become a nightmare. He replayed the crash in his mind, every second haunting him. Outside the hospital, the news had not yet reached her family. Jen and Bill were unaware that their daughter was lying on an operating table, fighting for survival. But soon, the truth would shatter their world. The hospital rush was only the beginning. Zoey's battle was far from over. The doctors had stabilized her for now, but the fight ahead would be long, painful, and uncertain. At the Arnold Klein household, the evening had begun like any other. Jen Arnold was reviewing medical notes, her professional instincts always sharp, while Bill Klein prepared dinner, humming softly in the kitchen. Their home was filled with warmth, laughter, and the ordinary rhythm of family life. But beneath that calm, a storm was brewing, one they hadn't yet seen. Jen's phone buzzed again. Another unanswered message to Zoey. At first, she brushed it off, assuming her daughter was busy with friends or schoolwork. But as the hours passed, unease began to creep in. Bill noticed the worry etched across Jen's face. "She'll text back," he reassured, though his own voice carried a hint of doubt. Then came the call. The shrill ring cut through the silence, and Jen answered quickly. On the other end, a voice spoke with urgency. "This is Memorial Hospital. Your daughter, Zoey Klein, has been admitted following a serious car accident. You need to come immediately." The words hit like a thunderclap. Jen froze, her heart pounding, her mind refusing to process what she had just heard. Bill dropped the spoon he was holding, his face draining of color. "What did they say?" he asked, his voice trembling. Jen's eyes filled with tears. "It's Zoey. She's hurt. Badly." Within minutes, they were in the car, racing through the streets, fear gripping every breath. The drive felt endless, each red light a cruel delay. Jen clutched her phone, replaying the hospital's words over and over. Bill's hands tightened on the steering wheel, his knuckles white. Neither spoke. The silence was heavier than words. At the hospital, the scene was chaos. Doctors rushing, machines beeping, nurses moving with urgency. Jen and Bill pushed through, desperate for answers. A doctor approached, his expression grave. "Zoey is in critical condition. She suffered severe injuries in the crash. We're doing everything we can, but the situation is very serious." Jen's knees buckled, and Bill caught her, his own eyes brimming with tears. Their daughter, their bright, beautiful Zoey, was fighting for her life. And then came the second blow, the revelation that she hadn't been alone. She had been with Zach, a boy they barely knew, on her way to a secret date. The shock was overwhelming. Fear, confusion, and betrayal collided in their hearts. Their daughter had kept secrets, and now those secrets had led to tragedy. For Jen and Bill, the world had changed in an instant. The family they had built was shaken to its core. And as they stood outside the operating room, listening to the machines that kept Zoey alive, one question haunted them. Would they ever get the chance to hear her voice again? The hospital waiting room was heavy with silence. Arnold and Bill Klein sat side by side, their faces pale, their eyes fixed on the doors of the emergency ward. Every second felt like an eternity. Their daughter was fighting for her life, and they had no control over the outcome. Then Zach appeared. His clothes were torn, his forehead bandaged, and his eyes swollen from crying. He hesitated at the doorway, knowing the storm he was about to walk into. Jin's gaze locked on him instantly, sharp and filled with questions. Bill rose to his feet, his voice trembling with anger. "You were with her. What happened?" Zach's lips quivered. He wanted to run, to disappear, but guilt anchored him in place. I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice breaking. "It was my fault. I asked Zoey to meet me. We were going to the hotel. She didn't tell you because she didn't think you'd understand." Jin's heart shattered at the words. The secret she had feared was true. Zoey had hidden a relationship, and now that secrecy had led to tragedy. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "She's just a child, our child." Zach stepped closer, his hands shaking. "I loved her. I still do. I never wanted this to happen. I was driving too fast. I lost control. I should have protected her, but instead, I put her here." His voice cracked, and he buried his face in his hands. Bill clenched his fists, torn between rage and grief. He wanted to shout, to blame Zach for everything, but deep down, he knew the boy was already drowning in guilt. "You should have told us," Bill said, his voice low but firm. "Secrets destroy families. And now, Zoey is paying the price." Zach nodded, his tears falling freely. "I'll do anything to make it right. I'll stay here. I'll face whatever comes. Just, please, don't hate her for loving me." Jin turned away, unable to bear the weight of his words. Her daughter's innocence, her trust, her future, all tangled in a secret romance that had ended in disaster. The confession hung in the air like a heavy shadow. Zach had spoken the truth, but it brought no comfort. Instead, it deepened the pain, exposing the fragile line between love and recklessness. For Jin and Bill, the battle was no longer just about saving Zoey's life. It was about saving their family from the secrets that threatened to tear it apart. Inside the sterile walls of the hospital, time seemed to stop. Machines beeped rhythmically, each sound a reminder that Zoey Klein's life hung by a fragile thread. Doctors and nurses moved with precision, their faces tense, their voices clipped. Every second mattered. Zoey lay unconscious, her body bruised, her breathing shallow. Tubes and wires surrounded her, connecting her to machines that kept her alive. The crash had left her with severe head trauma, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. The medical team worked tirelessly, balancing between hope and despair. Arnold, herself a doctor, stood helplessly outside the operating room. For the first time, her medical knowledge felt useless. She wasn't Dr. Arnold here. She was a mother watching her child fight for survival. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered prayers under her breath. Bill Klein held her hand tightly, his own eyes red from crying. Together, they clung to each other, desperate for strength. Inside, the surgeons worked quickly. "We need to stabilize her blood pressure," one ordered. Another responded, "Prepare for transfusion. She's losing too much." The room was a battlefield, every move aimed at pulling Zoey back from the edge. Hours passed like days. Zach sat in the waiting area, his guilt consuming him. He replayed the crash over and over, wishing he could turn back time. His heart ached knowing that Zoey's pain was tied to his choices. He whispered to himself, "Please, Zoey, fight. Don't leave me." At one point, Zoey's heart rate dropped dangerously low. Alarms blared, and the team rushed to intervene. "She's crashing," a nurse shouted. The doctors fought back, administering emergency medication, pressing against her chest, willing her heart to beat again. For a terrifying moment, It seemed like she was slipping away. Then, faintly, her pulse returned. Weak, fragile, but there. Relief washed over the room, though no one dared to celebrate. The battle was far from over. Outside, Jen and Bill were told the truth. She's stable for now, but the next 24 hours are critical. We'll do everything we can, but it's up to her body to fight. Jen broke down, clutching Bill's shoulder. She's strong, Bill whispered, though his voice trembled. She'll fight. She has to. Zoey's fight for life had begun in earnest. The machines kept her alive, but it was her spirit, her will, that would decide the outcome. And as the night deepened, everyone, her parents, Zach, the doctors, waited, prayed, and hoped for a miracle. News travels fast, and in the age of social media, secrets rarely stay hidden. By the morning after Zoey Klein's accident, whispers had already begun to spread. Hospital staff, witnesses at the crash site, and even bystanders who had filmed the wreckage, all became unwilling messengers of a story too shocking to ignore. The first headline appeared online. The little couple's daughter Zoey Klein in critical condition after car accident. Within hours, the story exploded across platforms. Fans of Jen Arnold and Bill Klein were stunned, their hearts breaking as they shared prayers and messages of support. But alongside the sympathy came speculation and scandal. Reporters camped outside the hospital, cameras flashing, microphones ready. They wanted answers. What had happened? Who was the boy with her? Why was Zoey at a hotel in the middle of the night? The questions were relentless, and the family had no time to prepare. Jen and Bill, already shattered by fear, now faced the crushing weight of public scrutiny. Every move they made was watched, every expression analyzed. They wanted privacy, but fame had never allowed them that luxury. Their daughter's fight for life had become a headline, a trending topic, a storm they couldn't escape. Zach, too, was caught in the whirlwind. His name leaked quickly, and soon the media painted him as the reckless boyfriend who had endangered Zoey. Photos of him outside the hospital circulated online, his tear-streaked face becoming a symbol of guilt. Strangers judged him without knowing the full story, branding him irresponsible, dangerous, even unworthy of Zoey's love. Inside the hospital, the family tried to shield Zoey from the chaos. But outside, the narrative spun out of control. Talk shows debated the risks of young love, tabloids speculated about family drama, and fans demanded updates every hour. For Jen and Bill, the hardest part wasn't just watching their daughter fight for survival. It was knowing that her private choices had become public property. The media storm magnified their pain, turning a family tragedy into entertainment for the world. Yet, amid the noise, there was also hope. Thousands of fans rallied online, sending prayers, lighting candles, and posting messages of strength. The outpouring of love reminded the family that they weren't alone, even in the darkest hour. But the storm was far from over. As Zoey lay unconscious, the world outside debated her fate. And with every headline, every rumor, the pressure mounted. The question was no longer just whether Zoey would survive. It was whether her family could withstand the storm that surrounded them. The hospital corridors were hushed, the kind of silence that carried the weight of fear. For Jen Arnold and Bill Klein, the hours after Zoey's surgery stretched endlessly. Every tick of the clock echoed like a reminder that their daughter's life was balanced on a knife's edge. They sat side by side in the waiting room, hands clasped tightly, eyes fixed on the double doors that led to the intensive care unit. Jen whispered prayers under her breath, her medical mind replaying every possible scenario. Bill tried to stay strong, but his voice cracked each time he spoke. "She's tough," he murmured, "she'll make it through." Yet his trembling hands betrayed the fear he carried. Zach lingered nearby, his face pale, his body slumped in exhaustion. He hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. His guilt was a shadow that refused to leave. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the crash, heard Zoe scream, felt the impact. He wanted to apologize 1,000 times, but words felt empty. All he could do was wait, just like the family he had hurt. The night dragged on. Nurses came and went, updating them in fragments. She's stable for now. Her vitals are weak, but holding. The next few hours are critical. Each update was a lifeline, fragile but enough to keep hope alive. Jen and Bill's minds wandered to memories. Zoe's laughter echoing through the house, her playful arguments, her dreams of growing up. They remembered her first steps, her first day of school, the way she lit up every room she entered. To imagine a future without her was unbearable. Outside the hospital, the media storm raged on, but inside, time stood still. The family's world had shrunk to one room, one bed, one fragile heartbeat. As midnight passed, exhaustion set in. Bill leaned against the wall, his eyes heavy, while Jen refused to close hers. "If I sleep, I'll miss something," she whispered. Zach sat quietly, his head bowed, whispering Zoe's name like a prayer. The long night was filled with fear, but also with love. Every heartbeat from the machines was a reminder that Zoe was still fighting, and as dawn approached, a fragile hope began to rise. No one knew what the morning would bring, life or loss, healing or heartbreak. But one thing was certain. This night would forever be etched in their hearts as the longest, hardest, and most defining of their lives. The first rays of dawn filtered through the hospital windows, painting the sterile walls with a faint glow. After the longest night of their lives, Jen Arnold and Bill Klein sat in silence, their eyes fixed on the ICU doors. Every heartbeat from the machines inside was a fragile promise that their daughter was still alive. Doctors emerged, their faces weary but determined. "She's holding on," one said softly. "Her vitals are stabilizing, but she's not out of danger yet. The next few hours will decide everything." Jen's breath caught in her throat. For the first time since the accident, there was a glimmer of hope. Bill squeezed her hand, whispering, "She's fighting. Our Zoe is fighting." Inside the ICU, Zoe lay surrounded by machines, her body weak but her spirit unyielding. Her chest rose and fell slowly, each breath a victory. The doctors monitored her closely, adjusting medications, watching for signs of improvement. And then, faintly, her fingers twitched. A small movement, but enough to send a wave of relief through the room. Jen was allowed inside for a brief moment. She leaned close, her voice trembling. "Zoe, it's Mom. We're here. We love you. Please keep fighting." A tear slipped down her cheek as she kissed her daughter's hand. Bill stood behind her, his eyes filled with both pain and pride. Zach, too, was given a chance to see her. He approached cautiously, guilt heavy in his steps. "Zoe," he whispered, his voice breaking, "I'm sorry. I should have protected you. Please come back. I need you." His words hung in the air, fragile and desperate. The doctors watched closely. Zoe's heart rate steadied, her breathing grew stronger. It wasn't a miracle yet, but it was progress. The turning point had arrived, not an end, but a chance. A chance for survival, for healing, for redemption. Outside, the media continued to speculate, but inside the hospital, none of that mattered. What mattered was the girl on the bed, the family holding on to hope, and the love that surrounded her. For Jen and Bill, the nightmare was far from over, but the dawn brought something they hadn't felt in hours. Belief. Belief that their daughter might survive. Belief that love could carry her through. The turning point wasn't just about life or death. It was about resilience, family, and the fragile strength of a girl who refused to give up. And so, the story of Zoey Klein, daughter of the little couple stars Jen Arnold and Bill Klein, reaches its most fragile moment. What began as a secret plan for love spiraled into tragedy, leaving Zoe fighting for her life, her family shattered, and the world watching. We've seen the secrecy, the crash, the hospital rush, the family's shock, Zach's confession, and the long night of prayers. We've witnessed the turning point, where hope flickered against despair. But the question that remains is not just about survival. It's about trust, choices, and the consequences of hidden truths. Zoey's story forces us to ask, how far should young love go when it risks family bonds? Was Zach reckless, or simply a boy caught in the whirlwind of emotions? Should Zoey's parents have known, or was secrecy her only way to feel free? And most importantly, if she survives, how will this change her life, her family, and the way the world sees her? For Jen and Bill, this is more than a headline. It's the fight for their daughter's future. For Zach, it's a burden of guilt he may carry forever. And for Zoey, it's the battle of resilience, the test of whether love and strength can overcome tragedy. Now we turn to you, our UK Flix audience. What do you think? Was this fate, or a consequence of choices made in secrecy? Can love survive when it begins with lies? And if Zoey wakes up, what should her next chapter be? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because sometimes the hardest questions don't have easy answers. More update. Jen Arnold shares Zoey's recent passion revisited. Jen Arnold shares pampered pics of Zoey on 10th birthday. And Zoey Klein shocks with all-new look. See her now. The little couple. Why is Zoey Klein in the hospital? I will explain everything. Recently, actress Jen Arnold from The Little Couple talked about how quickly her daughter became interested in animals. Her love has grown into a fierce obsession over the past week. The cute little girl is becoming a strong young woman, and she shows no signs of slowing down as she chases her aspirations. People who watch TLC think that Zoey, an adopted youngster from India, is really lucky. Anyone who has seen the Klein kids on TV knows how much they love animals. Little Will loves all the pictures of their dog Rocky. Fans also love the cute puppy that became famous on the show and through the pet service that Rocky and Maggie ran. Last October, Bill and Dr. Jin gave the little puppy a gorgeous bed that was just right for him. He looked very happy. But their daughter hugged the dog in the dog bed to make it even cuter. It's clear that she loves animals with fur. A month later, Jen Arnold told viewers of The Little Couple to guess which animal Zoey had fallen in love with, and she told them. Because the message came so soon after the cute child's birthday, her many fans naturally wanted to know if her parents had gotten her a pet. To be honest, I still don't believe they accomplished it. But all of a sudden, she adored the pony more than any other animal. After that, very few people paid much attention to it. But it's apparent that she still loves horses very much. If you remember, the kids went horseback riding in 2018, so Zoey has done this before. Viewers of the show also watch the youngsters see the horses on Jen's parents' property. This week, Jen Arnold wrote a new article for The Little Couple for people who like to read about horses. Fans of the program would imagine that Zoey's summer is largely about the animals. She was fiddling with the horse's nose in the picture. It really makes her look little. With the phrase, "My girl has made new friends and found a new hobby she loves," Jen's sweet compliments make the picture even better. I'm happy to see her love for horses increase. Readers of Jen Arnold's piece on The Little Couple talked about how quickly Zoey grew up. People who have loved a horse would tell you that they are incredibly compassionate animals. The gentle giants are great for a child's spirit. One admirer commented, "Horses are so good for kids," and many others agreed. Jen Arnold shares pampered pics of Zoey on 10th birthday. It's a memorable day for Jen Arnold and her daughter Zoey Klein. Jen posted on social media that Zoey is now 10 years old after spending the day with her. It seems that Zoey got the royal treatment when she turned 10. Jen posted some pictures from Zoey's big day on social media. One post was a collection of Jen's Zoey pictures from over the years. "You have a great daughter. I hope you have a great birthday with 2 digits. You still blow my mind every day. A 10. If you didn't know, the Kleins also have a kid named Will. Bill is married to Jen. But Zoey's parents didn't spend any time making her day special. In a TikTok video, Jen talks about how her kid was treated like a princess on her birthday. The small girl loved going to the spa with her parents. "You are becoming such an amazing young woman," Jin says. "I can't believe it." People in the little couple community have been sending Zoey birthday wishes in response to Jin's posts on social media about her big day. TLC fans love Zoey because they have seen her grow up over the years. A lot of people remember the day Will and Zoey were adopted as babies. Zoey is now a healthy 10-year-old girl. One kind fan says, "We saw her grow up on TV. This young lady is worth a lot. I hope you have a great birthday party. We named our puppy Zoey after her." Another admirer says, "Wow, it's been 10 years? Wow. When you took her home, she was quite terrified and bewildered. She has grown into a confident young woman, in addition to being smart and caring." A lot more people are coming in to say happy birthday. Some people are saying how happy Zoey looks, while others are saying that the spa day was quite nice. Having a lovely day celebrating with her mom was undoubtedly a highlight for Zoey. What did you think of Jin Arnold's latest post? Are you happy that Zoey is turning 10? Please share your thoughts in the box below. Zoey Klein shocks with all new look. See her now. The little couple actress has grown up a lot since viewers first saw her on the TLC show years ago. Jin Arnold, her mother, says that her daughter looks entirely different now. What is the latest? Bill Klein and Jennifer Arnold adopted Zoey Klein from India several years ago, and she has come a long way since then. This year, Zoey will officially become a teenager. Like her brother Wood Klein before her, Jen and Bill would soon have 2 teens living with them. Jin Arnold keeps her fans up to speed on social media, even though the little couple isn't broadcast anymore. Fans love witnessing Zoey's art, horseback riding, and other hobbies, especially now that she is really making a name for herself. Not long ago, Jin Arnold shared an update on Zoey to her many fans of the little couple. Jin says that Zoey didn't do well on a school test. But this wasn't an academic test, which is something that people usually think of when they think of going to school. It came out that Zoey Klein had failed a vision exam at school. Because of this, Zoey would probably have to wear glasses every day, just like her mom. At the moment, things were not fully clear. Jen was excited about the idea of sharing the trendy item with her child and the fact that they would soon be matching. Jin Arnold recently gave an update that featured a definite answer to rumors that Zoey Klein would have to join her mother in the eyewear club. Jennifer Arnold shared a short video of Zoey putting on glasses with her admirers on the little couple. She tried on many pairs of glasses in front of a mirror while sticking her tongue out. Jen was very proud of her kid when she tried on glasses. She added the hashtag #JustLikeMom to the most recent post. So it looks like the mother and daughter will keep wearing fashionable glasses. Wearing glasses all the time does take some getting accustomed to though. Like everything else in life, it will take some time to get used to. Jin Arnold has been wearing glasses for a long time though. Because of this, Zoey has someone to talk to as she gets used to how she looks. If the mother and daughter choose to, she can also find someone to match with. The little couple, why is Zoey Klein in the hospital? Jin Arnold, the mother of Zoey Klein from the little couple, says that her daughter is in the hospital right now. Jin posted a big update on her kid this past weekend that explained the situation. Is everything okay now? What was the reason for her hospital stay? Keep reading to find out all the details. Since TLC stopped airing new episodes of The Little Couple, fans have adored following Jen, Bill, Will, and Zoey on social media. Jen took some time to tell her fans about Zoey's dilemma. If you follow Jen on social media, you might have seen her recent posts on Little People problems. In Little People, she, Will, Zoey, and Bill all have health problems that they have to deal with. Bill had to skip a family vacation recently because of his constant back discomfort, which was getting worse while he waited for surgery. Jen told her Instagram followers on Saturday night that her 11-year-old daughter had to go to the hospital. The small girl has to get a sleep study. The National Library of Medicine says that obstructive sleep apnea may be more common in little people. Jin said in her post, "Kid 2 for another successful sleep study too." She'd agreed was subsequently added to the little couple's star. Below is the whole post from Jin. Will Klein was sent to the hospital for a sleep study, as we said before. Now it's Zoey's time. In the comments area of Jen Arnold's most recent article, fans are showing their love and support for Zoey Klein. "It's fantastic to hear that her sleep tests went well. I don't think I would sleep like that in a place I didn't know," one fan said. "She is quite brave. Love her. Great job, Zoe." "Great job, Zoey," said another fan of the little couple. "You are a brave young woman." Bill Klein recently put up some images of Zoey's bandaged head, as we told you before. She had another sleep study done a few years ago. You can see the old images below. It looks like Zoey's sleep study went off without a hitch, which is good. Jen might have more information about the results in a follow-up post, so keep an eye out for that. What do you think of these new photographs of Zoey Klein? Are you happy that this test is normal and not too scary? Please write your comments in the box below. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.